Hello, hello, hi, Facebook trooper. What's happening? What's going on? Welcome. Happy Thursday. In hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. Welcome. Good to see you. If you're joining me live, let me know you are here. It'd be nice to know who's got eyes on this live. If you're catching the replay, it would be nice to get your feedback. So, tonight, actually, let me show off my little guy's shirt. Oh, what up, T-Money? And I got this new cross that I totally dig. You know I digress, right? But anyway, this is little guy's shirt. How cool is that shirt? And I don't know, I felt like wearing a little guy's shirt. Some of you don't know who little guy is. Little guy was my dog. And we're going to leave it at that because then I would get totally emotional. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into it tonight. So, I titled this, sometimes it's tough for me to come up with a title because I want the title to, basically stop your scroll, right? I want the title to be strong. So I titled this, Even a King Can Get Humbled and Learn a Very Valuable life lesson, if you would, from Wild Dogs. Or can he? Well, let's take a look. Look at this. The gang is here. Team Money, B Money. Everybody is here. And original money's in the house. I mean, this is good. So here's the story. There's a king in an old town, king that is stubborn and is just his way or no other way. He's got 10 wild dogs, and and he would feed these wild dogs like raw meat and, to keep them wild and hungry. So any of his crew, servants or whomever, if they did anything wrong, he would throw him to the dogs, and the dogs would eat the person. So everybody kind of feared him, right? So one day, one servant, sure enough, makes a mistake, and he calls on the servant, brings him in, and confronts him and says, "You know what? I'm going to throw you to the dogs." He's fearful of his life. The servant says, "But sir, I have been serving you and this kingdom for 10 years. I have cared for this kingdom and you like my own. I have sweat, I have bled, I have done everything I could possibly do for you and the kingdom. How can you throw me to the dogs with my first mistake after 10 years? The king is not having it. The king is not having it, and the king says, "You know what? Nonetheless, I don't care. I'm throwing you to the dogs." Well, for his last breath of air, he tries to save his life, and he says, "Okay, just give me 10 days before you throw me to the dogs. 1 day per year that I've served the kingdom. How about you give me 10 days before you throw me to the dogs?" And the king doesn't see a problem with it, says, "Okay, no problem. We'll give you 10 days. So in that 10 days, he comes to the guard that keeps the dogs. He comes to the guard and says, "I want to feed the dogs the raw meat and everything else that you do for this 10 days. I mean, they're going to eat me, so I'm just going to feed them." The guard doesn't see any problem with it at all and says, "Okay, no problem." So this guy starts to serve these dogs everyday food, and he's the first day they're wild, they're just going crazy. He throws them food. He starts like bringing them water. He starts kind of petting them and playing with them. And, 10 days goes by like that, and it is time. The king calls on his boys, let's say, and says, bring the servant to me. They bring the servant to him, and they say, okay, it's time for us to throw you to the dogs. And when they did that, he would have everybody watch this as a lesson for everybody, right? So he brings the whole crew to, the circle, and brings out the dogs, and boom, release, or brings out the person, and then boom, releases the dogs, right? And everybody's just waiting to see how they're going to tear this man apart. But by everybody's surprise, they see that the dogs are not attacking the guy. They're not attacking the servant. In fact, some of them are sitting right by him. Some other ones are licking his feet. And a couple other ones are just kind of rolling around, just playing with him. The king is mad and does not understand what's going on. Screams out, "What the heck is going on to my dogs?" Calls out the guard. "Hey, what did you do to my to my dogs? What happened to my wild dogs?" And the servant says, "I served you in this kingdom for 10 straight years, day in, day out. I worked hard. I cared for you and the kingdom for 10 years. And at the very first sign of error that I did, you're willing to throw me to your wild dogs to be eaten alive. And yet, I only spent 10 days with these wild dogs. And they remember my kindness. They remember me. And they appreciate what I did for them in only 10 days. And yet, you have zero appreciation for me after 10 years. The king is obviously moved. And the king understands what happened. And the king recognizes his error, and he gets humbled. And a very important life lesson in life. Life lesson in life, right? What a great little story, right? What a great little story. So, loyalty. That's kind of where I would go with this, right? Loyalty. How loyal are you to the people that have been there for you? Well, first, let me share this with you, because you know I take it at the basics, right? So, how loyal first are you to you? How loyal are you to you? How loyal are you to your thoughts, to your values, to your principles? I appreciate that, B-Money. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much, How loyal are you to your values, your principles, your beliefs? Right? Just you. How loyal are you to you? If you're not loyal to you, how can you be loyal to anybody else? Right? You feel me? Now, dogs are wild, man. Isn't that weird? Actually, check this out. I wore Low Guy's shirt this morning, right? I didn't know what live I was going to do. And look at it. It's all about dogs now. What? Little Guy. So coincidental. Anyway, I digress. But what a great story, right? how many times can you look back in life and say, man, I wish I was more loyal in that area, to that person, to, I don't know, that job, to that business, to whatever it may be, right? There's a difference between being loyal and being committed. And I think I'm going to do a live on that, because there's a big difference between commitment and loyalty. They may be interlinked, but that doesn't mean they're the same, right? T-Money, even if you... Very true. Very true. Very true, T-Money. I appreciate that very much. So, you know what I mean, though? Loyalty is important. Hi, Neda June. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. So it's important. How many times can you look back in life and say, oh man, I should have been more loyal to that, or to that person, or to, like I said, to that job, to that house, to that, whatever it may be, right? How many times can you go back and say that? Hopefully not a lot, right? Hopefully not a lot. Hopefully you've played your loyalty all along. Hopefully that is one of your principles, your values, right? So, hey, listen, if it doesn't feel good for you, for somebody to not be loyal to you and forget, like, I don't know, all that you've done, well, guess what? It won't feel good for them either. Always two-way street, right? Yeah, T-Money, you and I both, man. It's awesome that you admit this stuff, you know? That's where it's at. You and I, when we admit stuff like that, that's where it's at, right? We talked about it last night. Stories are supposed to be shared. They're not supposed to be stored. They're not supposed to be stored and put up in a closet and just like closed up. That's not what stories are all about. You know, there's a message in the mess. There's a message in the mess, right? So it is what it is, right? But at the same time, don't play that if you don't like to be played that, right? So like I've talked about it before, if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel good for somebody else, it won't feel good. If it doesn't feel good for you, it won't feel good for somebody else either. But Jesus, amen to that, right? So think about it. Think about that. Where can you focus? Where can you shift your focus on you to see, okay, this area I can improve my loyalty. I can improve my appreciation. I can improve this. I can improve. I can improve, right? So take a look at those areas in your life. Hopefully you can be conscious of those. Hopefully you figure those out, and hopefully you work on them, right? Hopefully the story kind of hits you. I like this story. I thought this was such a cool little story with like an innocent story with like a huge punch. You know what I mean? So I liked it. Hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully you got some value, inspiration, some love out of this. If you feel like sharing, you're like, you know, man, somebody else got to hear this. Share it on your wall. Tag a couple people to this. Do what you got to do. Spread the love. Sharing is caring. I appreciate that. And oh, by the way, you do know I want to know what you guys think about this, right? Drop your comments below. Hey, if you got a little tale to tell, you know I'm all about tales. So do tell. Do tell the tale. That's awesome. Do tell the tale. Share your thoughts below. Let this feed grow. I appreciate you guys. And until tomorrow, where we do it all over again. Much love.